One of the most frustrating things about recovering from long-standing illness, whether physical or mental, is that it often feels like we're not getting anywhere. Much of this has to do with the fact that most change, even steady change, can be slow and difficult to note when you're in the middle of it. We can also become overwhelmed by seeing where we want to get to, but forgetting where we started. Making things even more difficult is that recovery is almost never linear. That is to say, it isn't a straight line in which we proceed forward, always getting a little bit better. In reality, it's usually a situation of 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's something I'd like to approach today in my analogy of climbing in the fog. However, before I forge ahead, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video, if you're actually enjoying it. And I would be especially happy if you would subscribe to my channel, since I'm really trying to grow awareness for mental illness and provide something that could be helpful to as many people as possible. It's completely free, and all you have to do to subscribe is click that icon right there, and I really do appreciate it. Now, onward and upward. When I'm working with my patients, I like to describe getting better like climbing up a really steep, rocky mountain in the fog. You have an idea of how tall the mountain is, and you occasionally get a glimpse of the peak, which inevitably feels like it's a long ways off. But the path behind you seems to remain shrouded in dense clouds. Now, this is not an easy hike up a paved trail. This is a difficult scramble up loose and rocky face that feels like it's constantly giving way under your feet. It seems as if you're spending a significant time climbing up the mountain only to slide back down. And it feels like you're gaining very little ground, if any ground at all. Nonetheless, you manage to keep at the climb, but over the months, it just starts to feel fruitless. Almost everybody with a long-standing struggle has a moment in treatment where they think, is this worth it? I'm not getting anywhere. I'm getting scratched up, my knees are bruised, I'm sore as hell, and I'm still struggling to try and gain just a few feet. But then one day, even if briefly, the fog clears and a great vista opens up behind you, and you realize you've come a long way up the mountain. It didn't feel like it because the progress was so slow, and it was hard to see on a day-to-day basis. This is one of the reasons why it's so important at times to stop and take stock of where we are in comparison to where we started from. I have patients who will get that sense of frustration and say, am I ever going to get any better? And then I point out to them that they're no longer feeling suicidal on a regular basis, or maybe not at all. That they rarely are engaging in self-injury anymore, or that they've successfully completed something that they wanted to try but previously felt was impossible. Maybe they are spending much less time running away from potential conflicts, but working through them. Each of these little gains is huge when added together, but often feel insignificant on their own. So it's critical for us to sit down sometimes, part the clouds, and really try to take a look at where we are compared to where we started. The other thing I try to remind people of is that the top of the mountain is really just an illusion. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe the goal of life is just constantly to get a little better, a little stronger, improve ourselves. Keep on climbing. Keep reaching. Maybe the journey is what matters. The one thing I can say is, early on in the climb, especially if we're fighting depression or anxiety, it's really hard work. We're not in good shape. We don't have good climbing technique. We feel like we fall backwards more often than we go forwards. However, the one thing that seems to be true for most people who continue to work on themselves, whether through therapy or other means, is that they discover that the more they climb, the stronger they get, and the easier it is to keep on going. That's a goal worth achieving in and of itself. Please don't forget to subscribe, and remember, mental health and physical health, they're the same thing. See you next time.